which is read-only.
Okay, here's Terry Jones from FluidInfo speaking with Seth Levine from Foundry Group.
Context is like this.
Right. We're going to get right in on the chat.
Why is your name tag around your neck? And the reason it's around your neck is because that's the place that makes the information most useful and most valuable. And in a digital context, you usually can't do that. Applications have got metadata about something. Like I want to say, hey, I'm at GlueCon, or I'm in Denver, or here's my latitude and my longitude, and I need a taxi, or whatever. That is a bit of metadata about the world, and you're forced to put it somewhere else because the digital world is not usually writable. So FluidInfo is a data storage architecture, which is a bit like Wikipedia for data. So if an application's got information about anything, like Seth Levine, or GlueCon, or Colorado, or a DNA sequence, or a zip code, or an email address, or whatever, it doesn't matter what it is, you go to FluidInfo and you say, give me a writable object for this thing, a unique writable object, and that's where I'm going to put my data, and it lives alongside other data that's about the same thing, and then you can search on it. And that makes the information more valuable because you store it into context. That's what
can I control what data is accessible by what services, let's say?
Yeah, so there's a permission system, but it's at the level of the tab. It's not at the level of the object. So the objects are like concepts, like the concept of New York. You might think, well, it's loud, it's expensive, it's rainy, and so on. And I don't have to go to Mike Bloomberg and ask for permission to add that sort of metadata to that object. So FluidInfo's objects are like that. I've got an opinion about you, but I don't have to tell you what it is.
Right.
Like I've noticed that you button down your collar and I don't. You wear glasses and I have mine in my bag and stuff like that. Your shirt's not tucked in and all this stuff. All that metadata that I'm collecting about you, I don't have to ask your permission.
Right.
I can share it with him and not with you.
Right.
We can combine it and so on. And just like this.
I might have data that, for example, I'm at Glue.
Yeah.
I don't mind. Maybe in that case, I don't mind anyone knowing that. But I might be out to dinner, let's say, and I do mind that.
So you can set
most people know that, but I wouldn't mind if some people did.
Well, for another good example is you might have several sets of latitude and longitude coordinates associated with your username, and you might make some of them completely public, and it lets people see what country you're in or what state or whatever. Your family might get to see exactly where you are, and your friends might know, Seth's in town, and so on. And you can set permissions on those things. So the main point is to change control from having objects that have got owners, where you have this sort of all or nothing system of control over information, and put the permission system at the level of the tag and the value on the objects. And if you do that, lots of things change.
Is that how it's different than, for example, this Locker project that was up in
the Locker project is an entirely different undertaking. We've talked about putting FluidInfo inside of the Locker project and having
you have control at a different level than the Locker project.
Yeah, but also the emphasis of FluidInfo is on sharing data and on taking data from different apps and different people and putting it alongside one another so that you can search across it, for example. The Locker project is more about, let's get my data and bring it into my little cloud, which is safe and secure and it's on my machine and so on. And it's more about bringing your data into your own storage area. So the focus is very different. FluidInfo there's a single instance of it. It's a cloud storage system. The Locker project is like everyone's got their own one.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, the two of them could push data to each other. Like if you had some summary statistics, let's say, that were being built up in your Locker about your activity on Twitter, let's say number of tweets per day, or whatever it turns out to be, you could push that metadata into FluidInfo, stick it on the object about you, and then you're making it social. And we're about social data in some sense. I gave Brad a demo today.
Oh, you did?
Oh, all right.
Brad featured in my talk this morning.
Oh, he did?
I built an app it's like a Twitter search engine that's based on FluidInfo. And I did some queries where I was saying, let's have a look and see everyone that Brad and Mark Suster are following.
Actually, you know what? I did catch that. Thank you very much. I did catch that part of it, and I sent a tweet to Albert. I saw my logo up there. It's like, what do you mean, Fred Albert? None of Fred, Albert, or Brad followed me? So I sent a tweet out. It's like, where's the love, guys?
What the hell?
And Albert responded right away. It's like, I totally corrected that. I'm sorry. It was funny. And of course, Mark Solon from Highway 12, that guy you highlighted, he actually tweets under a different handle now, which is, I think, why. I don't know why those guys still follow him. Anyway,
the point of that is not, Tickery is not really designed. It's designed to do that stuff for fun, but the real point is that I showed some other applications.
There's specific information that's available.
And other apps put metadata onto the same objects, and then you can combine it. So the example I gave was, I'm going to a conference with Brad. Who are the influential people that he follows that I haven't met that introduced me to? And that's a combination of information that's come from 3 apps that are not aware of one another. They're all just putting information onto the same objects, and they're following a convention.
It's interesting. Cloud actually has I think the most useful Cloud feature is when you look someone up, they'll tell you who influences that person, and it's actually it's sort of what you were getting at, right? Yeah, it's important metadata. Yeah, absolutely.
And it should be stored with the Twitter user. If Twitter's database was built on top of FluidInfo, then you could just go and put that information where it makes the most sense. Because Twitter doesn't allow you to do that, Cloud computes it, and Cloud's, their core competency is figuring that stuff out. They shouldn't be in the business of providing an API for it and having their own servers and documentation and so on. They should just push it somewhere, and ideally you push that into Twitter's world.
Right.
But because we live in this, I like to say that we're living in the shadows of architectural decisions that were made decades ago. Where people say, "This is my data, I own it, you can't have access to it," and so on. You can't do that. And people think that the way to do open, we're doing open wrong. The way we do open these days is we say, we've got some data and it's interesting, let's provide access, we'll make an API in order to be open. But the real way to be open would be just let people put stuff into your database. Right. The API is actually designed to control people. It's like, let's limit what people can do, and we'll only let them
toll road, literally. Right? It queues people up.
And you need permission. And you can only do the things that we've anticipated and that we allow you to do. So the API is very limiting in that sense. And so that's why I think APIs is sort of an intermediate step on the way to a world where data becomes more writable. It may not be FluidInfo, but there's a very big disparity between what we do as humans with information, which is stuff like this.
API is at the service level, and really you're talking about control that's at the specific sort of piece of data.
And it should be done horizontally, because then all these things can pop up on top of it, and you wouldn't have Twitter saying, "Hey, we're going to allow annotations," because that would be built into the architecture, and all the limits that they were proposing about how to do annotations, like only the tweeter can do it, and only at the time of tweeting, and no permissions model, and no querying, and so on. All those things would just be baked in. So that's what we do. That was a long answer.
Very cool. Hey, where are you going to be speaking next? Is Tim going to have you at any of his events?
The next thing I'm going to is the Quantified Self conference, which is on the weekend.
What is that?
Quantified Self. Gary Wolf and Kevin Kelly are setting it up.
Where is that?
It's in Mountain View.
And that's soon?
It's on Saturday.
Oh, wow. So you're headed right there.
Yeah, Esther will be there.
Oh, cool.
And then after that, my calendar's fairly open.
So,
Now's when you're supposed to invite him to Minneapolis.
Yes, we'll get you to Minneapolis sometime.
I'm going to be in Minneapolis at 5:30 a.m. on Monday morning. I'm getting the red eye, and I have to stop.
Well, we're not having an event then, I don't think.
No,
somebody might be, though.
If you want to come to the airport, I'll do a little.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to do that, but I'm sure going to be following you, Terry. Thanks for letting me record this chat, and thanks, Seth, for you cooperating. The Boulder connection here. Okay, guys, over.